This video we are going to do 10 practice problems where we are multiplying fractions with whole numbers. Normally when I do a video where we're doing some practice, I will just do the first 3 for the companion assignment. But for this one we're going to do all 10 that go with the companion assignment. So we're going to go relatively quickly. I don't want the video to drag on for too long. So we're going to go relatively quickly through this. And I may even do multiple problems before erasing so that we can try to get through relatively quickly. If you need to back up or go back and review, of course you're always welcome to do that. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So number 1 is going to be 1/3 times 6. Now anytime we're multiplying fractions, whether it's a whole number or not, all we're really doing is just multiplying numerator by numerator and denominator by denominator. For a whole number, written as a fraction, it's just whatever that whole number is over 1. And then we're just multiplying across. So 1 times 6 gives me 6, and 3 times 1 gives me 3. So I get 6/3. Now, because this is improper, I need to change it. So remember, fraction is just a division problem in disguise. So 3 goes into 6 2 times. There is no remainder, so my answer is 2. Number 2. Another way we could have done this too is just to simplify and divide both top and bottom by 3, but that's basically what we did here. So either way is fine. Either way works. Number 2, we've got 9/10 times 3. Remember, 3 as a whole number is just 3 over 1. So I'm going to put my 1 underneath there and then multiply across. So I've got 9 times 3 gives me 27. 10 times 1 gives me 10. So I have to convert this improper fraction to a mixed number. So I'm going to have 27 divided by 10. Actually, I'm going to scoot that over a little bit so we can have our final answer right next to it. So 10 goes into 27 2 times. Slide this over just for a second. 2 times 10 is 20. 7 is my remainder, so my remainder fraction is 7/10. So my final answer is 2 and 7/10. Number 3 is 2/5 times 4. Remember, my 4 is a whole number, and so that's just 4 over 1. And I'm just going to multiply across. 2 times 4 gives me 8. 5 times 1 gives me 5. So I've got 8/5, which is an improper fraction. So I need to change it to a mixed number. So I'm going to come off to the side here and divide 8 by 5. My 5 is always the denominator, or excuse me, the denominator is always on the outside. That's what I'm dividing by, and the numerator is always what I am dividing. All right, so 5 goes into 8 one time. My remainder is 3, and so my fraction is 3/5. That's written very small, but my final answer is 1 3/5. I'm going to circle my final answers here because this is getting a little bit messy, a little bit crowded. 3 problems might have been a little ambitious, but we're trying to go quickly. All right. Okay, number 4 is 4/5 times 8. And again, my 8 is a whole number, so it's just 8 over 1 when I write it as a fraction. Then I'm going to multiply across. 4 times 8 is 32. 5 times 1 is 5. Right, that is an improper fraction, so I've got to change it to a mixed number. So I'm going to divide 32 by 5. 5 goes into 32 6 times. A remainder of 2. So my remainder fraction is 2/5. So my final answer is 6 2/5. Number 5, 1/2 times 6. You can remember this 6 is a whole number, so 6 over 1. Then I'm just going to multiply across. 1 times 6 is 6. 2 times 1 is 2. Go ahead and write it out just so we're consistent. Improper fraction, got to change it to a mixed number. 2 goes into 6 3 times, and there is no remainder, so my answer is 3. All right, so we can squeeze number 6 on here too. All right, so we've got 5/10 times 4. 5 times 4 gives me 20. 10 times 1 gives me 10. Now, with this one, and probably with this one too, you can probably do this in your head, but I'm just going to write out the steps because I want us to see it. All right, so, and actually, let me see if I can sneak it down here in the corner a little bit. So it's an improper fraction. I need to change it to a mixed number. So I'm going to set up my division problem. 10 goes into 20 2 times. 2 times 10 gives me 20. So I get no remainder. So my final answer on number 6 is 2. All right. All right, number 7. I've got 1/10 times 3. And this one's pretty cut and dry, because I'm just going to multiply across. 1 times 3 is 3. 10 times 1 is 10. And that's it. I cannot simplify that, and it is a proper fraction, so I don't need to do anything beyond that. All right, number 8 is 2/4 times 7. It's going to be 7 over 1. 2 times 7 is 14. 4 times 1 is 4. That is an improper fraction, so I need to do a division problem. Now I've got a couple of options here because it's improper, so I'm going to have to do a division problem, but I could actually simplify it now. But you know what? I'm going to go ahead and just do the division problem, and I'll simplify after. So 4 goes into 14 3 times. 3 times 4 is 12. So my remainder is 2/4. And so my answer is going to be, I'm going to write this down at the bottom so you guys can see it because I know I'm cut off on the side. It's going to be 3 and 2/4, but I know I can simplify 2/4. So if I divide, since they're both even, I can always divide by 2. Divide top and bottom. That'll give me 1/2. And so my final answer is actually going to be 3 and 1/2. Now what I could have done here is I actually could have simplified here, and I could have divided this by 2 here and gotten 7/2. I'm going to erase this division problem so you can see this. I could have gotten 7/2 here, and then if I had done the division there, 2 goes into 7 3 times. 3 times 2 is 6. And so my remainder is 1/2. And so what I'm going to find here is it actually didn't matter when I reduced. It didn't matter when I simplified. Either way, I'm going to get the same answer, whether I simplified before I divided or simplified after I divided. Either way, I'm going to get the same answer. All right, on to number 9. All right, number 9 is 3/4 times 5. 3 times 5 gives me 15. 4 times 1 gives me 4. It is an improper fraction, so I've got to set up my division problem to change it to a mixed number. 4 goes into 15 3 times. 3 times 4 gives me 12. 15 minus 12 is 3. So my remainder is 3/4. So my answer is 3 and 3/4. Kind of mashed in there. All right, number 10. 2/3 times 2. Again, whole number, so it's just 2 over 1. 2 times 4 gives, or excuse me, 2 times 2 gives me 4. 3 times 1 gives me 3. So I get 4/3. This is an improper fraction, so I've got to change it to a mixed number. 3 goes into 4 one time. 1 times 3 is 3. My remainder is 1/3, so my answer is 3 and 1/3.